Hi, my name's Emma Borg and I'm currently working on a British Academy funded project exploring ways in which financial responses to the current COVID-19 pandemic might serve to reshape relationships between the state and the private sector. So it's clear that there's been a massive financial response to the problems caused by the pandemic by governments across the world. So for instance, just in Germany, Britain, France, Italy and Spain, current estimates are that over 45 million jobs have been supported by government-backed employment schemes. And that's going to come at a huge cost to future taxpayers. So even while we recognise that governments at the moment need to be fully focused on avoiding recession, preserving jobs, coming out of the pandemic with their economies in the strongest shape that they can, still we also need to ask ourselves whether this unprecedented level of state aid should serve to reshape relationships between the state and the private sector. And there are good reasons to think that we don't want relationship between the private sector and the state to return to exactly the way that it was pre-pandemic. Because before the pandemic, we saw a range of systemic scandals in the private sector that seemed to demonstrate that the priorities within at least some companies were not well aligned with the needs of society. So from events around the financial crash of 2007 to 8, through data sharing scandals, all the way up to various climate and environmental concerns. It seems that in all these areas, we need to find ways to bring back together the aims and objectives of private sector organisations with the needs of society. So that's what my project is exploring, whether the level of support that governments have offered to the private sector should be used as the catalyst for reshaping relationships here. And in particular, we're going to be asking whether the notion of a social licence framework that has its roots in a philosophical school of thought known as social contract theory and in an Enlightenment idea called the do commerce thesis. We'll be asking whether that notion of a social licence could form the basis of a way for society to go about harnessing the considerable power of the private sector to do good. So it would be great if you wanted to get involved in the conversation, and if you do, please drop us a line, follow us on Twitter, or keep in touch via the website. Thanks very much.